Accessing peace. Existing without violence, with the ability to calmly resolve conflict. Downloading love. An overwhelming, deep, positive affection towards others. Activating liberty. Living your life as you see fit without infringing on the lives of others.
Welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism. And welcome to the Darryl Doesn't Take His Own Advice edition of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. What am I talking about? Well, a couple of weeks ago, back in, I believe it was episode, and I had just looked this up, episode 513. I talked about relaxation. Why we can't, but why it's important. And, well, somehow, even though I thought that I have been relaxing a little bit more, apparently I haven't, and I somehow wound up doing something to myself, and, well, I'm basically forced to relax. Now, no, I can still move around it. It's not like I'm bedridden or anything, but during the month of January and February, after having done a lot of running last year, I decided, all right, well, the weather's kind of crappy. I'm going to go easy on myself during January, February. You know, sort of take an off season the first couple of months of the year. And I think I wound up, on average, running on a treadmill about once a week. Somewhere between 3 to 3.5 miles at a time. Again, you know, like one treadmill session a week, roughly. And I had an outdoor run, like the middle of February, that was like the first outdoor run that I did all year, other than the New Year's Day 10K that I did. And my ankle on my left foot felt a little weird, but I didn't really think anything of it. It was like, oh, okay, you know, I just haven't run, outside in a while, maybe because it was still a little icy and I was wearing cleats and something. So again, didn't really think anything of it. Still going to the gym 3-4 times a week. And then on March 1st, all right, January, February are over. Time to get back at it. Go for a run. Wound up running 4.5 miles. And then when I finished, it's like, my legs are really, really sore. I don't know why, but my legs are really sore. And my ankle was hurting. And it's not the ankle itself. It's sort of the behind the ankle. It's like, that's kind of strange. I wonder if I just ran too fast. I don't know. Went to the gym Friday, went to the gym Saturday, yesterday, went for another run, little over 7 miles, and ran a little bit slower because still, you know, legs are stiff, ankles feeling kind of weird. Googled the symptoms. I might have tendinitis. I'm not really sure. And, well, the things that are listed for how you recover from tendinitis is basically don't really do anything for a while and ice it. So it looks like I'm probably going to take a trek down to CVS here in just a little bit, get some Epsom salt, and then just sort of like relax in an Epsom salt bath for a little while this afternoon. And just for the first time in a long time, intentionally not go to the gym, not do any kind of, real physical exertion. And I'm going to relax today. And, I found an article here from a website I've never heard of before, Outside Online, but I believe this is Outside Magazine, which I have heard of before. And, well, let me just jump into this article. Headline, How to Mentally Recover from an Injury. They say for an athlete, being injured is often harder psychologically than it is physically. And, well, let me just pause after that first sentence and say that, yeah, this, it's mentally a lot more difficult than what I thought. And it's not like I'm, some kind of world-class athlete. But after having gotten myself back in shape over the last couple of years and, becoming a marathon runner, and, oh, by the way, I don't think I mentioned this on Friday, maybe I did, I was accepted onto Team Innocence Project for the New York City Marathon. And this is something that I'll be talking about more between now and November, to where I'm fundraising for the Innocence Project. I need to raise $3,500 to secure my spot on the Innocence Project team. I will post a link in the show notes for the fundraiser for that. And the way this works is whatever different, if I only raise, say, $3,200, then I am personally responsible for covering the difference between $3,500 and whatever I raise. Anything above and beyond is just a bonus, and they really want the runners on the team to strive for raising $5,000, but the bare minimum is $3,500. Again, link will be in the show notes for that. So, started off on Wednesday of, yay, I got accepted to Team Innocence Project. This after I didn't wind up getting a lottery pick for the New York City Marathon, where they have a thing. You enter a drawing, and then it's a way to wind up getting a guaranteed spot, and then you just pay the registration fee. So middle of the afternoon was looking like, yeah, I'm not going to get a spot. So I went ahead and applied to Team Innocence Project, and then was like, I'm going to go ahead and go to the gym. And then I went to the gym, and then while I was at the gym, had to, because I use an app on my phone to track my workouts, I saw an email from Team Innocence Project. It was like, yes, I wound up getting on the team. So I've paid the registration fee. Now I just need to raise the money for Team Innocence Project. Again, I'll talk more about that between now and November. But yeah, this sort of injury. And the thing is, I don't really know what happened other than just, yeah, I've got some ankle pain. I think it might be tendonitis. Stay tuned. There's more here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more. Coinbase is a simple and secure online Bitcoin wallet for sending, receiving, and storing Bitcoin. Coinbase also allows you to buy and sell Bitcoin using a bank account or use their tools to accept Bitcoin as a merchant. Coinbase has more than 1 million consumer wallets and is trusted by over 25,000 merchants, including Overstock.com, Khan Academy, Reddit, and of course, FPP. Get started at coinbase.fppradio.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry, online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. So, going back from that tangent that we were on, talking about how to mentally recover from an injury while also physically recovering from an injury. Again, article here from outsideonline.com, and yes, the link will be in the show notes. Again, the article begins, for an athlete, being injured is often harder psychologically, read mentally, than it is physically. But elite athletes have developed a few key tools to stay happy and sane while healing. Amelia Boone, who is a world-class endurance athlete, says being injured sucks. Yes, it does. After winning 4 consecutive obstacle course racing world championships from 2012 to 2015, Boone suffered 2 successive stress fractures, one in her femur, then her sacrum. Those injuries sidelined her for all of 2016. She says, a body that carried you through so much in the past is now betraying you. It's hard to come to terms with that. It really messes with your head. Injuries, by definition, are a physical affliction to the body. But according to Boone, whose toughness and grit earned her the nickname the Queen of Pain, the psychological elements of the recovery process are often harder than the physical. This is the case for many athletes. Carrie Cheadle, a professor of sports psychology at John F. Kennedy University in Pleasant Hill, California, says emotional recovery isn't really linear. Cheadle leads an injured athlete support group and says it cycles through denial, distress, determination, and often back to denial again. There are a lot of highs and a lot of lows. And again, just going back to, this weird sort of pain that I'm feeling in my ankle and then the tightness and soreness in my legs. Again, after that first run on Thursday, it was like, just a little bit of sore. Maybe I ran a little too fast. Maybe because I've not run, more than like 3.5 miles at a time. Maybe I just ran a little too fast. I'll, not go so hard at the gym the next couple of days and then slow down a little bit when I run on Sunday. And yesterday, being Sunday, I ran just over 7 miles at a slower pace than I normally run. But still, my ankle, it felt like a burning sensation in my ankle. So I'm still kind of in that, or rather I was in that denial process. I'll be fine. But now I'm sort of in that distress sort of thing of, oh crap, what do I do? I've got a 10K coming up in a week and a half. And then in another 2 months, I've got a half marathon that I'm doing. Am I going to be recovered fully in time to do that half marathon and do it well? And by well, I mean somewhere around a 2 hour, 15-minute mark. I'm not going for a PR on this first half marathon of the year. I've got 7 of them lined up, plus the New York City Marathon. I just want to be able to run without being injured. And run pain-free. That's really, the 2 goals, right, is run pain-free and don't get injured. But I'm kind of stressing of, can I do this? And maybe after I wind up, laying in a bathtub for a little while, soaking in some Epsom salt, maybe I'll then realize, all right, just take it easy for about 3 days, maybe a week. Play it by ear. As they say, listen to your body. And I've got an article about that I may or may not be able to get into, but the link definitely will be in the show notes. Continuing on, though injured athletes work very hard on physical rehabilitation, most neglect their minds. Cheadle, again, the professor of sports psychology at JFK University in Pleasant Hill, California, Cheadle believes that this is a mistake and one that sets them up for a more arduous recovery process and even lackluster performance once they're healed. Fortunately, a handful of practical tactics can help athletes keep their minds right even when they're sidelined. The first little subsection of the article is keep your athletic identity. When Boone, again the endurance athlete, when Boone suffered her first stress fracture in her femur, friends and fellow racers suggested she work on cultivating other interests while she recovered. So she tried to remove herself from the sport as much as she could, going so far as to unfollow just about everyone involved in it on social media. But after a few days, she realized that isolating herself wasn't a great option. She says, "So much of who I am is wrapped up in being an athlete in the endurance sport community. It was like I was telling myself a shallow lie by trying to suddenly check out." Boone ended up doing the opposite. She continued to immerse herself in the sport. For example, showing up at races to support others rather than pretending it was no longer part of who she was. As hard as it is to be on the sidelines, it's often harder not to be there at all. Professor Cheadle says losing your ability to do your sport is bad enough. You don't need to lose your community as well. She being Professor Cheadle, encourages athletes to put the energy they normally the energy they normally reserve for training and competition into recovery. Recovery itself, she says, becomes the sport. Not only ensures they adhere to whatever rehabilitation process is prescribed, but it also helps maintain their identity as an athlete. Next, focus on joy over pain. Trying to deny the frustration and grief that accompanies getting hurt is a fool's errand. But that doesn't mean you can't consciously direct your attention elsewhere. Cheadle explains, if you focus on the positives in your life and give yourself permission to have joy, it makes you realize that everything isn't crap. It may sound a little cliche, but it works, and Cheadle says it's often as simple as focusing on something that makes you happy outside of sport. She also says that keeping a gratitude journal and writing down 3 things you're thankful for every night can help focus your attention away from the injury. Stay tuned. There's more here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. That's weusecoins.com. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the Journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Fueled in the beginning by his unsettling thoughts and emotions, he learns how to find peace with everything he has woken up to. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Hey, welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. We'll get back into the article about how to mentally overcome an injury as well as to physically overcome an injury here in just a second. But first, I want to make sure that I tell you about a better cryptocurrency. You know, one that's better than the ones that don't necessarily have a focus on users and usability. I'm talking about Zencash. Zencash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash has the ability to use both transparent and shielded transactions, with shielded transactions using zero-knowledge proofs. Unlike some other cryptocurrencies, Zencash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and their documentation and wallets are available in many different languages, and the wallets are available on many different platforms, including Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zensystem.io. That's zensystem.io. Jumping back into the article here about how to mentally overcome an injury while also physically overcoming an injury. Article from OutsideOnline.com. Amelia Boone, who is a world-class endurance athlete, won 4 consecutive obstacle course racing world championships. Says that early on in her injury process, where she had 2 stress fractures, she says early on in her process, she caught herself starting to spin into the cycle of rumination that made it seem like her life was over. Quote, but then I'd step back and realize that was nuts. She began wearing a bracelet that says the struggle ends when the gratitude begins. Again, there's a Professor Cheadle from JFK University in California who says that she encourages athletes that are recovering to keep a gratitude journal and write down 3 things that they're thankful for every night. And this is something I know I've talked about before, where there's the podcast that I listen to, The School of Greatness, and I know I've referenced it a lot, but that's because, that podcast in a lot of ways, sort of while I was going through this transformation, physically helped me mentally as well, to where the host, Lewis Howes, always asks his guest, what are you most grateful for right now? What is your definition of success? And then if today was your last day, many, many years from now, you've already done everything you've ever wanted to do. You've written everything you've ever wanted to write. Everything you've ever wanted to accomplish, you've done. However, all of the things that you've created are wiped away, and the world will only remember you by what you write on this piece of paper, and you can write 3 things that you know to be true. What are those 3 things? And, the 3 things that you know to be true, they could be different tomorrow than they are today. Something you're grateful for could be different tomorrow than it is today. But again, that's something to help keep you in that positive mindset. Continuing on here, Boone started to spend more time reflecting on how lucky she's been to compete at such a high level. She says, whatever happens in the future, no one can ever take my 4 world championships away. She also began mentoring younger women in the sport, saying, quote, I realized that a lot of my emotional pain was self-inflicted, and I could ease it by diverting my mental energy elsewhere. The article then goes on to talk about maintaining a daily practice. They say for many people, exercise functions as a feel-good drug. When you're injured, not only are you feeling down because you're hurt, but in many cases you can't do the thing that normally makes you feel better. It's really a double whammy. Professor Cheadle says she encourages athletes to do what they can to stay active within the confines of their injury, even if it's something like water aerobics or riding an exercise bike. If that's not an option, she says it can be helpful to adopt a mindset of from obstacle to opportunity. She asks athletes the following questions. How can you use this additional time in a way that you'll feel good about? Injuries also present the opportunity to teach athletes not to be overly dependent on exercise. She says it's a forced chance for athletes to round themselves out a bit to develop other practices. When Boone was dealing with her stress fractures, she tried swimming and cross-training, but she also realized that she needed to give her body plenty of time and space to heal, saying movement is such a central part of setting the tone for my day, so it was hard to let go of that a bit. She instead took up a daily meditation practice. There's definitely more to this article that, again, the link will be in the show notes, where I always put links in show notes. There's also a couple other articles that I'll make sure I put the links in the show notes. But let me jump over here real quick to an article from BreakingMuscle.com. Headline, Listen to Your Body for Fewer Injuries and Greater Progress. And this is something that anybody that is active or has been active has heard before. Listen to your body. Article begins, you should always be making progress in your workouts, yet one of the biggest things that derails people is suffering some form of injury or pain. Getting hurt seems to come along with a workout, but does it have to? Again, I'll jump into the article here in the closing moments on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
In 1999, Darryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Of the book, Dr. Brian Sovereign says, sometimes it's funny, and sometimes I think it's crazy, but it's always authentic. Ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system and to fully capitalize on that decision in their fundraising efforts. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com.
Hey, this is Adam from the ANCAP Barbershop. You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Before jumping into the article about making sure you listen to your body, and yes, I know I'm not going to get very far into the article, but the link will, as always, be in the show notes. But first, I've got a question for you. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you use Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies as an alternative in this fiat-centric world? If so, then you need SpendABit in your arsenal. SpendABit is the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. SpendABit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Spend a bit. Use my affiliate link, spendabit.fppradio.com. And if you're a Bitcoin-accepting merchant like I am, ask about their merchant suite to reach even more customers. That's spendabit.fppradio.com. So again, jumping into the article, and yes, I know, not getting very far into it, but the headline, Listen to Your Body for Fewer Injuries and Greater Progress. For most of us, and again, this article specifically targeted at people that work out and do athletic-y things. He says, for most of us, exercise is not like playing football where outside forces, another player, or the ground can inflict a big impact on your body and cause something to break. It's a scenario like that. Sometimes no amount of training can stop injury from occurring. So why do injuries occur so often, and what can be done about it? You've likely heard this many times before. There's a good chance you've even said it to yourself. I knew I shouldn't have done that. I don't think it's just a case of hindsight being 20/20, because the knowing often comes ahead of time. So how is it that you know? The author here says, a good friend of mine was at a gymnastics class a while back. Everyone was doing a 360-degree jump drill into a punch front roll. Not really sure what that is, but he does link over to a YouTube video. He says it's not a difficult move and was serving as a warm-up for the more advanced drills to come later. As my friend started doing repetitions of the drill, it wasn't feeling good to him, but he decided he was going to give his all on the next attempt. He did, and on the landing, he tore his knee completely. His body was sending signals that he did not listen to, and he paid a big price. Article goes on to say you need to pay attention to your body, and then, yes, listening to your body is a skill. He talks a little bit about how you do that. And don't forget, every Friday I answer your questions. Send those over ama.fppradio.com.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copy Heart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News, and also get a copy of the monthly newspaper FPP News. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.